We're going to go back out now to our Bailey Burmaster live with a look at the protests happening now in downtown Green Bay. Bailey.
Hi, Mackenzie. I'm here at the Walnut Bridge where protests have kind of just bunkered down here. I'm going to step out of the picture so you can see what's going on. These protests for the George Floyd death that happened just not too long ago have been going on all day. They started at Mason Street and we're moving throughout Green Bay. Tonight they're in downtown Green Bay. They were at the intersection of Walnut and Washington, but now for the past 20 minutes, protesters have been bunkered down here in their cars with signs chanting, "No justice, no peace," been chanting, "I can't breathe," all in support of George Floyd. On top of that, there are police presence blocking off the bridge and directing traffic, and there also has been fireworks going off here.
I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw the video, I was very hurt. To see the video, I got kids, mixed kids, and it really hurt me, and it touched me in some way where I can't explain to some people.
I'm so sorry that you lost. I'm so sorry that you lost your family member just because he was black.
And we're following those protests around the country and in Wisconsin as people express anger over the death of George Floyd and other deaths of black people at the hands of police. Demonstrations going into the night in Green Bay, a large group of people and many police at the intersection of Murrow and Walnut Streets for several hours overnight. This is new video in overnight. Police tell us gunshots were fired at one point. And that's where Kristen Allen is live this morning with what happened overnight.
That's right. Several dozen people gathered overnight here in front of this Marathon gas station here behind me at the corner of Murrow and Walnut Streets in downtown Green Bay. You can see that police are still here this morning and they have it taped off. They confirmed to us that shots were fired toward the gas station and said that the inside of it is trashed.
The victim's only remaining family member saying that is wrong, and the law must change.
This stems from a 2016 Brown County murder of Heeson Sunny Teague and her daughter, Sabrina. As we first told you last month, the jury found Sabrina's ex-boyfriend, Jacob Kayer, guilty of stabbing both women. But in the second part of that trial, the same jury found him not guilty by mental disease or defect. A judge immediately committed him to the Mendota Mental Health Institute in Madison, and it's how long he stays at that hospital that has the victim's family demanding change. In a First Alert investigation, Sarah Thompson found out how it's possible for Kayer to essentially walk free.
Jacob Kayer can begin asking the court in February and every 6 months after that to be released from Mendota. He would have to prove he's not dangerous and could only be released under supervision. But to think he'd ever walk these streets again both enrages and terrifies the Teague's only living family member.
At night, I dreamed of my mom and sister, alive, whole, and on the cusp of being murdered. "Don't go downstairs. He's waiting for you," I would shout. He had taken lives that didn't belong to him. He made two beautiful people stop existing. Because no one had the power to undo the injustice of their deaths, I did the next best thing. I put my hopes in the justice system.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Jacob P. Kayer, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide.
I had been living for 4 years to hear those words. I'm glad that I got to celebrate that moment because the next verdict was a moment of grief.
Did Jacob P. Kayer have a mental disease or defect? Answer, yes. And I therefore am going to order that Jacob Kayer be placed in institutional care.
I had to immediately leave the courtroom when that verdict came in. It was extremely upsetting.
No relief, no peace, and for Sarah Mae Teague, no justice. After 7 delays over 4 years, Jacob Kayer's trial ended abruptly in the late hours of day 4 when the judge committed Kayer to a psychiatric hospital. But because he wasn't going to prison, there would be no sentencing hearing weeks later. Under Wisconsin law, a person committed to a psychiatric facility can begin petitioning the court for release 6 months after initial confinement.
So even though he's found guilty by a jury of homicide, 2 counts of homicide, he could still have that ability to live in the community at some point and not be in prison?
That's correct.
District Attorney Dave Lissay says the NGI verdict only considered Care's mental state at the time of the murders. At trial, a psychiatrist testified he was, quote, quite psychotic. But now, or during any attempt for release in the future, only Care's current mental state matters. Letter after letter has been sent from the FDA to online pharmacies, many actually based in foreign countries, telling them to stop selling misbranded and illegal drugs to people in America. Yet we found those sites still in operation, claiming to give you great deals on prescription medications. We're not identifying them to prevent further abuse. The investigation that eventually led the DEA to 58-year-old Rakesh Sarin started with an online pharmacy. Court records show investigators purchased and received codeine and other pain pills and medications used to treat anxiety, most sent here from Romania through the Postal Service. In 2018, Romanian National Police made 12 arrests to dismantle the supplier. Hundreds of thousands of controlled pharmaceuticals were seized. The 5-year-long undercover investigation eventually led to the discovery of thousands more pills being shipped from India, Singapore, and the Philippines to Texas, where Sarin lived. With the help of a dealer in Florida, popular medications like Xanax, oxycodone, Percocet, and Adderall made it to Wisconsin. The DEA intercepted and tested them. Court records show multiple shipments of Adderall tested positive for meth.
We're seeing more and more cases where we're getting illicit pharmaceuticals that are coming from internet pharmacies all over the world. And the concern with that is that let the buyer beware, because you have no idea what you're getting. There's no regulation.
We found Waite was paid for 8 hours a day from April 27th through November 6th, 3 days after losing her bid for re-election. In April, the governor appointed Waite to the role of Waushara County District Attorney, and in this letter wrote she would receive an annual salary of $100,000. Along with those records, the Department of Administration also wrote to Action 2 News, state statute, quote, allows district attorneys to take vacation without loss of pay. But where was Waite for more than 4 months? In our original report in October, staff in her office told us they received a text message in September that Waite was in a pain clinic in Minnesota, but had no other details. A week after our first story aired, we received a transcript from a court hearing where the judge assigned a new attorney to temporarily handle Waite's duties this summer. It included testimony that Waite was on a conference call with the Democratic Party for Waushara County in July and indicated, quote, everything was going good in the office, and made it seem like she was in the office and partaking in cases and caseload. We tried to track down Laura Waite at her office, by phone.
The party you are trying to reach has not set up voicemail,
email, and eventually her home. But couldn't find her to ask why she had not taken a case or shown up to work since June 26th. And according to a string of emails we uncovered, the administration had a hard time finding her too. In a July 2nd email, Laura Waite writes to Casey Dice, the director of the state prosecutor's office, that she'll need to take medical leave for at least 6 weeks and apologized for the inconvenience. He promptly responds, focus on your health and get well soon. We will manage in your absence. July 22nd, Dice emails to check in, asking for an update. August 10th, another email from Dice asking for a tentative return to work date. The next day, Waite emails, I'll keep you posted. Other details are redacted. Nearly 2 months later, October 5th, another email from Dice checking in on her status and return date. 2 more weeks elapse. Dice sends a 5th email, this time writing, I do not believe I received a response to my last email. Please let me know your status. Later that morning, Waite writes back, I did not respond on advice of counsel, as I am currently under investigation by OLR after complaints by Jane and Judge Dutcher. OLR is the Office of Lawyer Regulation. In our first report, we discovered some of Waite's cases appeared to have been mishandled, causing them to be dropped and later refiled. Waite is listed in good standing with the OLR, but that office can't tell us anything about grievances filed until an investigation is complete. We also requested the applications of everyone who applied to be Waushara County DA after the former prosecutor left for a new job. 5 people applied, including assistant district attorneys and public defenders. Waite's application shows she was an assistant DA in Wood County for about 4 months, and before that worked for Wisconsin Judicare, a nonprofit law firm working mostly civil and family cases, but writing she had no reservations about her ability to try a difficult case. She also wrote her goal was to win re-election and be actively involved in the community, professionally and personally.
The DA's office says Waite resigned in the days after the election. Matthew Lusink, who voters elected, will take over in January.
Racism, equality, police brutality, protests, calls for justice. As a news organization, we've covered news events surrounding these issues. As a community resource, WBAY TV knows we need to do more to advance the conversation about race in Northeast Wisconsin. This is the power to change. People are sharing their stories about racism, how it's affected lives, choices, and potentially futures. These are raw, honest conversations, looking at life through a personal lens.
What we've learned, most of us have learned anyway, is that the key, the answer to race education and having more information is to pretend like we don't see race. So I would hear this a lot when I moved here. I don't even know that you're Black, Tracy. And what racial literacy does is it requires people to think more critically about race, to really have some more advanced and nuanced skills around it, to think about the history of race and racism, to be able to articulate how that history has gotten us where we are today, and really to think more critically and have more analysis when you see racialized incidents.
You hear a lot about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and what that means is that there is opportunity and access for everybody, right? And that there are going to be instances where we have to look at the work that we do with that lens of racial equity and acknowledging that there are disparities, and then how do we address them?
Black Lives Matter is about love. It's about sisterhood and brotherhood and solidarity with our comrades, but it's also meant to make folks be uncomfortable, right? Because there's a lot of folks that have lived in their privilege and lived in their comfortability for way too long while Black lives suffered. And so this savior mentality that we've created as a culture, like Black folks don't need to be saved. They need to be loved, they need to be invested in, they need to be provided resources that will help them to be successful.
What are your thoughts about what's happening in the country right now? Obviously we have coronavirus pandemic, but then all of this too added on to it. And just staying on this topic, what are your thoughts about what's happening? What do you think it's doing to our country? Go ahead, Nigel.
I mean, when they loading, they making the police officers mad too. And they be all in police face and messing everything up like that's going on with the protesting. I don't feel like it's gonna make a change.
They're mad, but like, it's a certain way that you deal with things, and like destroying people's businesses isn't the way, because like they worked hard for that.
I think it really sucks that people have to be protesting and feel the need to burn down buildings in the first place. I think it's really sad that it's taken so long for people to open their eyes.
Action 2 News starts right now with breaking news.
Today, I have declared a public health emergency to address the outbreak of COVID-19 in the state of Wisconsin.
We begin with breaking news as the situation surrounding the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic continues to develop today. Good afternoon. You just heard Governor Tony Evers declaring a public health emergency. Now the Department of Health Services reports 2 new cases in Dane County, bringing the number of active cases in the state to 7.
An 8th person has already recovered.
Academy, this sign shows you just how strict they are being with attendance at the state tournament this weekend. You know, this is an arena that can hold thousands of people, but the WIAA is limiting attendance to only 88 tickets per team.
We were there waiting for that decision, and it came at about 11 o'clock last night. Unfortunately for Wrightstown, the girls and boys basketball programs were on their way to make history. The girls defeated Lake Mills to play in the championship game. If it had been played and the Tigers did go on to win, it would have been the first title for girls basketball. Meanwhile, the boys were on their way to make history with their first state appearance in program history. However, with the cancellation, the teams are not focusing on what could have been instead of choosing to focus on what was.
Girls team today meeting up with Platteville at the Resch Center and taking a picture. All right, that's them. That is totally them. Their passion, their love for each other, and their smiles. The boys team last night, coach called me up at about 5 to 10. He goes, Coach C, we got to go over to the gym. Is it okay if we go to the gym? I said, why is that? He goes, well, the team is there and they want to get in. They want to hear the news together.
So another question, coworker tested positive for COVID, came back to work after 10 days at home. They mask intermittently now back in the workplace. They take it off to eat, drink, talk on the phone for a few minutes at a time. And this person saying, our desks are just about 6 feet apart. Do I need to still continue to worry about this, or am I just overthinking that I could get this transmitted to me?
Well, we should always be maintaining those safe practices of washing your hands, wearing your mask, and staying 6 feet away. But the risks definitely go down if somebody has recovered from COVID-19.
Health officials confirm they first learned about a cluster of COVID-19 cases at JBS last Tuesday. We're told CDC officials arrived in Green Bay this morning to assist with contact tracing at the meat packaging facility.
I tell you, head back and look towards my way just a bit.
You can see me back my head up and flinch as he sticks the Q-tip deep into my left nostril, swirling it around 4 times.
All right, and now for the other side.
After a few seconds of discomfort and some tears, I was finished. My sample placed in a bag ready to ship to a lab.
The world looks much different than what we're used to. Streets are quieter, businesses are empty, and people are connecting via technology. We didn't ask for this. We didn't prepare for this. This is our new reality. So we wanted to know, how are you doing?
I'm not doing well at all with this. And I am, in some ways, I'm doing okay.
Personally, from the outside, it looks like my family has been doing well. My daughter has adapted well to homeschooling. However, I am one of millions that suffer from anxiety disorders. My anxiety stems from concerns about keeping my family safe from public dangers. I used to get anxiety about public shootings and other unlikely catastrophes. Now, however, I'm worried about getting sick from going to the grocery store, or my very friendly 3-year-old wanting to give someone a high five while on a walk. I had a panic attack while at the grocery store shopping last week, and trying to take deep breaths while wearing a cloth mask is much easier said than done.
It's been very tough financially for the bakery. We have no income right now.
To qualify for the Wings Hunt, kids must submit an essay, and this year 9 hunters were chosen, 5 girls and 4 boys.
Wings has done a great job of taking kids that don't have access or necessarily a mentor and pairing them up with somebody that has experience and gets them outdoors.
Our photographer Michael Bergman follows along with Charles Rabbits and his daughter Olivia. They're on property on one of 9 area landowners who support the Wings mission.
If it wasn't for our landowners being so gracefully, to give you their land for 2 days that they did food plots, everything, to get the deer to stay there is unbelievable, but they're the same way. They want to help.
It turns out to be a beautiful but slow evening until the walk out. Olivia spots a doe in the distance and takes aim.
We go now live to Sarah Thompson, who is at the KI Convention Center with more.
Cam and Bill, this is the central count for the city of Green Bay right behind me here at the KI Center. Poll workers and clerks have been here since early this morning casting those absentee ballots that were cast early ahead of Election Day or dropped off today in those ballot boxes. And it is a record amount of absentee ballots that they are counting. I'm going to step out of the way so you can take a look at what's happening behind me here. The mayor says more than half of the city's registered voters, 55%, voted before today, casting 32,000 absentee ballots. That is going to keep these crews busy well into the night. Exactly how long, we're not sure yet. At last count, 4 p.m., we learned more than 12,000 ballots have been counted so far. Now, one of the tabulators did get jammed, but there is a technician here on site to fix any issues.
that's resolved and back up and running at normal speed.
In the presidential race here in the state of Wisconsin, with 64% of the vote in, President Donald Trump is leading Joe Biden by 51 to 47%.
Village leaders here in Bellevue say they were expecting longer lines, especially based on the turnout they had for early in-person voting. But the last people who were here tonight to vote cast their ballot just after 8:30 tonight, and they didn't have to wait too long when they got in line at 8 o'clock, 20 minutes to a half an hour or so. And those needing to register to vote, though, waited a little bit longer to go through that process and then vote.
It's interesting, he's got about a 5-point lead from what he had in 2016, and we're seeing some of these counties some outperformance. I mean, even Manitowoc County, we see some significant big numbers that we're seeing in counties like that.
Here in Wisconsin right now, being updated in just the past hour, Joe Biden with a lead of fewer than 10,000 votes in Wisconsin over President Trump. About 98% of the votes are in and counted. Some of the final decisive votes being added up in Brown County were counting wrapped up in the past hour.
I can further break that down for you. For Brown County, Trump having 75,865 votes, and Biden for Brown County 65,509 votes. Again, these results just being posted in the last several minutes to the Brown County Clerk's website. We've been checking and waiting all morning since the count had officially wrapped up here at the KA Convention Center at 4:20 this morning. Of course, as you know, poll workers had been here since 7 o'clock yesterday morning, starting to count those absentee ballots here at the KI Convention Center, the central count location, and they were counting more than 31,000 absentee ballots, and they just finished that up, as we said, at 4:20 this morning. Tabulators had been brought in from other polling locations throughout the night and overnight to speed up that process. And earlier this morning, I did have a chance to speak with Mayor Genrich, and he said he's really proud of the city of Green Bay.
Yeah, just very grateful to all of our voters who came out, all of the poll workers that supported our effort, everybody who is here at our central count operation. You know, it takes a great deal of support from the community, from our, from our employees to make something like this happen. So very glad that it went smoothly.
Here's Dave Schrader from Action 2 Sports.
Baseball is back. Welcome to Wrigley Field, where the Brewers get things started on opening day, hoping to make the playoffs for a third straight season for the first time in franchise history. And all right, I know what you're thinking. Dave isn't really in Chicago, is he? Well, nope. I'm standing in front of a green screen. This microphone is not on. It's all part of this year's altered reality. The Packers have newfound confidence, and if they can perform on third down the way they did today, it's going to be one heck of a game next week. The 49ers defense is bracing for a vintage and peak Aaron Rodgers performance. Here at NFL Honors with Packers now second-year head coach Matt LaFleur. Well, in Super Bowl 54, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes once again proved potent.
Sunday will mark the fourth playoff meeting between the Packers and Seahawks. The first was the famous "we want the ball and we're going to score" 2003 wildcard game. Matt Hasselbeck got the ball. The Packers scored on Al Harris's pick six to win that game. In the 2007 divisional round, Ryan Grant and the Packers ran over Seattle in the snow at Lambeau. And of course, the 2014 NFC title game. Do we really need to say anything more about that one? Yeah, I didn't think so.
Matt LaFleur is the first head coach in Packers history to have the most home wins in his first season, break the franchise record for most wins by a rookie head coach, and lead the Packers to 13 wins, an NFC North title, and make the playoffs.
Like I said before, I think that sometimes it's a pain in all of our butts. When we watch a film, sometimes it's a little nitpicky, and I'm not afraid to say that it's definitely reflected great in the way we play.
The NFL is big business, and the playoffs mean even bigger money for players. This year, each player in the NFC divisional round will make $31,000, win or lose. That's more than double what Brett Favre and the eventual Super Bowl 31 Packers made in 1996. Now, the Packers' first divisional round payout came in 1941, players making 1/10 of their salary, which on average was $1,700 a year, so $170, or with inflation, $3,101.09. Our Dave Schrader goes one-on-one with Jones to talk about his ascendant season.
When we chatted in Atlanta, you had not yet met Coach Matt LaFleur. He had been announced as the Packers coach, but you had seen his track record working with Derrick Henry, Todd Gurley, Devontae Freeman, and you were excited about your team's possibilities and your role within that offense. And you had a bold proclamation.
Miami next year, we're going to be there.
Guaranteed?
Guaranteeing it.
What led to that confidence even before you had met Matt?
Just knowing the guys we have in this locker room, all the hard work we've been putting in, and we had said last year we went home with an ugly taste in our mouths, and we knew what we had to do. And I just have that feeling. We have the team here, we have the veterans, we have the leaders, and Coach LaFleur, he's a great coach, and I kind of already knew coming in how he used running backs, so that excited me as well.
The Packers defense tonight, they did very well in the first half. They got Russell Wilson a little bit in the second half, but without the big free agent acquisitions, they're probably in a world of hurt tonight. Zadarius Smith with 2 sacks in the first half, Preston Smith with 2 sacks in the game. The big one late to force a punt. The Packers never gave the ball back. They were huge, and I would imagine they were popular too.
They were very popular, and the Smiths actually said, hopefully they never have to play a quarterback like him again. And you know what they actually described Russell Wilson to? This little guy right here.
And our endurance got tested tonight.
Yeah.
We answered the test. We passed it. We did good.
What was the saying that you said? It was like chasing a chicken.
I was like chasing a chicken in the field with no fence.
All right, how about Jason Wildy-Damas here? Nostradamus on our show the other night. His pick to click, Jimmy Graham, all 3 catches. They went for 43 yards, and they all went for first downs. Devontae Adams was spectacular tonight, Rob. Where does this rank? I know statistically it's the best ever in playoff history, but this was a special night.
It was. I mean, and Philadelphia earlier in the year was a special night, except it ended in disaster with the turf toe injury. But this guy has games where he dominates, not unlike what we used to see from Jordy Nelson, what we used to see from Greg Jennings, what we used to see way back with Antonio Freeman. Those guys that's why you draft receivers high, because they can have the kind of production that Adams had tonight.
His route running is just ridiculously good, you guys.
It's his feet, going back to the story we did at the start of the year. His feet are amazing.
He said a little film study going this week, knew exactly how he was going to set up some of those defensive backs, and he just carried it out with precision. Fantastic night.
Look, the most important thing we heard tonight, and I don't want to use my what did you hear, but Aaron Rodgers comparing his connection with Devontae to what he had with Jordy. That is enormously high praise, and we saw moments throughout the season where it wasn't quite there, right? Where they missed connections. Tonight, they connected every single time they needed to.
From WBAY TV, your first alert station, Action 2 News at 4:30 starts now.
Right now on Action 2 News at 4:30, we have the latest from Green Bay Police as they investigate multiple shootings over the past 5 days. Also, you are looking live at Lambeau Field. The Packers hosting the Falcons tonight. It's now an 8 o'clock kickoff. Bailey Burmaster is going to join us with a preview. And later, he's one of the faces of Action 2 News, but he's also the voice of Lambeau Field. We're talking with Bill Jarts about what it's like to announce home Packers games without fans in the stands. Good afternoon and welcome into Action 2 News at 4:30. Today we are talking with Action 2 sports reporter Bailey Burmaster about the game tonight and Action 2 News reporter and anchor Sarah Thompson. Green Bay Police are speaking out and asking for help to try and stop a surge in shootings across the city. Investigators have responded to 8 shootings over the past 5 days. They say the community is lucky that only 1 person has been injured. And Sarah, joining us now, you've spoken with Green Bay Police today after this rash. They have any idea why this is happening?
They don't have a great idea, but what they do know so far is that it is probably either drug related or people who just don't like each other and retaliatory. They're getting back at them.
So they think they're all related?
Not all related, but they all have one of those two
There is some common denominator running between
them. They are.
Okay.
Different groups of people. They said probably 2, 3, 4 different groups of people, so not all of them connected per se, but they're very frustrated over this, that it's reached that level of violence for something that is just a beef with somebody, that they're using gun violence for it.
Okay, so if it's just these groups of people involved, what's the danger to the general public at large? What's their concern there?
A great danger to the public because these are happening in neighborhoods all over the city. It's not even isolated to one particular neighborhood, and they're doing this drive-by. Most of them are drive-by, so you've got moving vehicles that might not hit the target they're intending to, and they're very worried that somebody is going to get caught in the crossfire.
And we could see some of the images, some of the vehicles involved in that. That BMW, you can see the bullet holes there.
That BMW has 13 bullet holes in it. 13. That is from a shooting on University Avenue on Saturday. Now, I asked police in that particular one, and I believe it was the driver of this car and not the other car where they were shooting at each other, I think, how close it was to hitting the driver. Remember, these vehicles are moving, and he said it hit the headrest. So very close, and you're talking moving vehicles, a danger to anybody that's in that area as well.
So police is now, they're asking for help from the public, but they're also encouraging the public to do what with this rash still going on and they don't have anybody in custody?
They want people to pull out their cell phones. They want people to take pictures, take video. If, you know, the second you hear anything, call police. They're not getting a lot of cooperation with not only witnesses or suspects, but even the victims, the people who are being shot at, are not cooperating. And so they're asking the general public, anybody in these neighborhoods, please help out. They really want to get this, stopped.
And the most recent one was just last night.
Yes, they're continuing a lot over the last several days.
All right, Sarah, thanks very much. Keep us updated on any new information. Of course, we have a new game tonight to discuss. The Packers hoping to go 4-0 into their bye week as the Atlanta Falcons come into town for Monday Night Football tonight. And our Bailey Burmaster is live outside Lambeau Field with a preview. But before we even preview the game, Bailey, you and I have to discuss the crazy timing and incidents involving Davante Adams, who announced he wasn't going to play this morning in a tweet. But, you know, as you and I know, and I'm sure folks out there know, that's a no-no.
Chris, it was a dramatic morning for the Packers, and like you said, it started on Twitter. At about 8:40 this morning, receiver Davante Adams tweeted out, "Sorry, fans and friends, I won't be on the field tonight. I've done everything I need to do and proved I'm ready, but I guess I don't know my body as well as others. Good luck out there, boys." It seems he will be out tonight, and he is not happy about it. He later deleted that tweet a few moments later. However, it's the internet, and everything's pretty much permanent because everyone gets screenshots. But you could tell he was a little disgruntled by that news.
Well, the line there about that apparently I don't know my body as well as others, the implication there is the medical staff is holding him out. And remember, he was close in New Orleans after that pregame workout, but said just last week he wouldn't go until he's 100%. He clearly felt he was. Now he's not going to play, but he's out. There's some other injury concerns tonight as well for the Packers. What do we know about those?
On Saturday, they put out a lengthy injury report, and it's a little bit concerning to me, at least, Chris. You could see that Corey Linsley was added with a groin injury. Tyler Ervin was on it, along with some other questionables. That would be Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark. Mercedes Lewis is doubtful. There's a lot of names to look out for. And then on the other side for the Falcons, Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley are reportedly going to be a go tonight. So it's going to be interesting to see what the inactives look like for the Packers.
Thanks, Cammie. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. But, you know, we're not going to see Bill tonight. Why? Because Bill will be right there at Lambeau Field working for tonight's Monday Night Football game. Bill now in his 16th season as the Packers public address announcer. But there's no public to address right now, so things look and sound very different.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your 13-time world champion Green Bay Packers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your 13-time world champion.
Does that bring a little tear to your eye when you see it like that?
Script is the same, but it's a totally different animal right now.
Well, let's start with that because we know it's very weird, obviously, with no fans in the stands. It's weird to watch it on TV. I'm sure it's weird for the players. How different is it for you?
It almost seems surreal when you're out there and you're looking at an empty stadium and you see the players down there and you're introducing the team and they're running out, but there's no reaction. So much of what I do, I feed off the fans as much as the fans feed off me because I become, in essence, a cheerleader.
Sure.
And now when there's nobody there to juice me up, it's okay, is this for real? But it is, obviously, what they have me doing now so much more honed down.
For people at home, the tangible differences for you that they can relate to. Anybody who's been to a game or even heard it on TV can hear you, first down, Packers, or third down, you try to get the crowd up. So the tangible differences for you are what?
Well, first off, this is what we call the book, It's the 3-ring binder. What it does, it just has a list of all my reads, all the things I read. Green Bay Packers would like to welcome our catering. This is from the 2008 playoff game. The Green Bay Packers would like to welcome our catering partners. Thanks for providing great food for us throughout the year. This is probably, in a normal game situation, probably 30 or 40 reads, somewhere in that ballpark. Last week's game, last home game, I had 3. I introduced the Lions.
So you really don't need a 3-ring binder anymore. It's more like this.
I just put it in my pocket. You know what? Make it pretty easy. But I introduced the Lions, I introduced the national anthem, and then I brought out the Packers the same way, but it was a totally different animal.
But yeah, we just talked about that off camera. It was hard, right?
Oh, to get the energy level up.
Sure.
Because you know there's a natural buildup as you start. You know, we normally start reading at 10 minutes or 15 minutes before kickoff.
Yeah.
And there's a good evening or good afternoon. Welcome to Lambeau Field for today's game between the Atlanta
Sure,
Falcons
as
and
the
the Green Bay.
stands are
And then it
filling
starts
up.
building up
Yeah.
in the stand, and then all of a sudden they start, okay, get ready. And then Mike McKenna's my assistant in there, and he said, okay, Jartsy, bring them out. And to this day, for 16 years now, the hair on the back of my neck goes up. Well, it's stopped at 15 because when you hit that, here come the Packers, and it's like, wow, this is pretty exciting. Well, that's not happening anymore, and it makes it difficult.
So they have purposefully scaled you back to just announcing down and distance. What do you think the reason is for that?
I think what they want to do is they want to give the people at home a great picture, the natural pictures you can on television. With no one there, it's no big deal. Basically, all I do now is I simply say 1st and 10, and I go right off the scoreboard because I always speak with one voice. So if it says 1st and 10, I'm saying 1st and 10, 2nd, 8th, 3rd, whatever.
So we've got some video. While you keep talking, I want to roll this video of you in the booth from the home opener against the Lions.
And literally, so that's all I'm saying. It's like 1st and 10. 2nd and 8, and I don't say, normally I would say 1st and 10, ball at the 22-yard line, and I just set up basically I do play-by-play in the booth.
That's what I was going to ask you about. Yeah.
So I'll say, okay, and we just walk it through. Rogers back pass complete to Adams, tackle by 35. So Rogers pass complete to Devontae Adams, tackle by, and I got a flip card. It comes down to 35, tackle by Smith. 2nd and 8, ball at the 22-yard line. This time it's just 2nd and 8.
But yet we can see you here in the video. You have binoculars, you're watching the clock, you're watching the scoreboard, you're watching the down and distance, and then you just don't get to use any of it.
I want to be ready. I guess I just want to stay in the mood. Because this year, because of the social distancing thing, I've lost my spotter.
Right.
So I told the guy.
And for those who don't know, the spotter is the one who calls out the numbers of the people who make the plays, typically the tackles. That was the same case for me when I was doing TV play.
Same kind of a thing. So they'll call out who made the play, typically the tackle. So you kind of have a pretty good idea of the offensive players. But now I told Mike McKenna's been doing this now, I think, for 30 years. I said, Mike, you're going to have to be my spotter this year because I thought we were going to do player identification. Has not been the case. So basically, we just sit up there and we try to converse and try to do the same thing. We're both identifying players in the event that they do sometime bring fans into the stands, and there's talk of that, although maybe not.
It's not looking good.
Not looking good is right. If they do that, then we'll be ready because we'll be down a man. And it's a totally different animal. As you know, you need that spotter so many times because there's a lot of marketing elements. You're thinking about other things. You're getting ready to go. You finish reading, look up. Sometimes you totally have no clue what happened.
Yeah.
The ball was set. You have no what happened.
Right.
I'm lost. Help me. Boom.
Yeah. Well, Bill, good luck tonight with the game, and hopefully you'll be calling it for fans soon. But we expect an announcement from the Packers this week about fans for the 3rd home game. But when Mark Murphy told us a couple weeks ago on this show the infection rate needs to be less than 5%, we're not even sniffing 5% right now, so it doesn't look good. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Chris.
And moving on now to weather, we are taking a look at how much a cumulus cloud weighs. It's probably something you've never thought about before, but if you have, Brad's here with the answer.
This is an exercise into how my mind works, okay? Scary as it will be.
We are going down the rabbit hole now. And he's hydrating, in case you're wondering.
I have for you a gallon of water.
This is for me?
Okay, pick it up. Do you know how much a gallon of water weighs?
No.
It's roughly 8 pounds.
Okay.
So if I gave you a 5-gallon bucket, you'd have 40 pounds of water. If I gave you 2 5-gallon buckets full of water, 80 pounds. I mean, it starts to add up pretty quickly. Okay, so I want to show you a picture. Okay, this is a picture.
Please do.
This is a picture that I took a couple of weeks ago. I actually went for a walk with the dog in the morning. And I thought, what a beautiful cloud.
How much does it weigh?
That's exactly where it went. So let's take a look here. We have to make some assumptions, first of all, okay? And part of the math has been done for us, actually. A mathematician has already calculated the average density of a cumulus cloud. It's half a gram per cubic meter of air. A dollar bill weighs a gram. So if I ripped a dollar bill in half and gave it to you, that's half a gram.
Okay.
So think about a cubic meter of air. That's not very much weight, right? Okay, we have to guess how big the cloud is.
I was going to go, like, how do they know how big a cloud is?
Let's just take a guess.
Okay.
And it's not.
So I can take my iPhone out and I can do that, like, measuring thing, you know, but I don't.
I like that idea. I like
Probably
it.
not going to help us a whole lot.
Maybe next time.
Okay.
Here you go.
Well, you're the one on the walk taking pictures of clouds. You should do it.
Explains the skin knee. Sometimes you stumble. 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer. It's not a perfect cube, but it's cube shake, okay? So let's do some of the math on this. First of all, we need to convert cubic kilometers to cubic meters, okay? You come up with 1 billion cubic meters for the size of the cloud. We have to multiply it by half a gram. We have 500 million grams. We need to convert grams to kilograms. It's 500,000 kilograms, which, do you know what the final answer is when I convert it for you to pounds?
Just keep going. No, I don't. Off the top of my head?
1.1 million pounds.
For an average size approximate of 1 cumulus cloud.
It's phenomenal.
That's ridiculous. That
Think
doesn't
about
seem possible.
Well, here's part of the deal. First of all, it's not very dense to begin with, okay? So it's kind of spread out over a long area. But also, cumulus clouds are born on updrafts, so it's getting a little bit of a push. That helps. Also, the actual little molecules of water, it kind of pushes apart the air, so it's a little bit lighter than the surrounding air. So there's a lot of things that keep them up in the sky. But it's amazing. Think about how much water is overhead all the time.
Think about a rain cloud. How heavy is that?
Heavier. It's more saturated, yeah.
All right. Let's move on
to
tonight, because some people have some particular interest in this.
Weather for the Packers game could not be more perfect. The only exception, the wind. Southwest wind at 15. Shouldn't be as gusty, though, as it has been at times, but it will be breezy, but mild, 54 at kickoff.
Little nugget alert here. The Falcons have a new kicker tonight because theirs is injured, and he's got to kick inside Lambeau. And when it's windy inside Lambeau, that is not an easy place to kick. So Elliott Fry could be on the spot tonight for the Falcons. Brad, thank you very much for that, and we're all a little smarter. Monday Night Football, so it's a football-themed show and a football-themed need to see, but this is college football we're talking about. Check out this play. Clemson, Virginia, Saturday, early in the third quarter. Brennan Armstrong picked off by Andrew Booth Jr., who does his best Odell Beckham Jr. Folks, I can't even tell you how difficult it is to catch the point of the ball, but that's what he does right there, one-handed, falling into the end zone. Guys practice this before games. I remember Davante Adams doing this last year out in L.A. before the game he returned from his injury against the Chargers, with practicing catching the point of the ball just like that, but without falling down. That is impressive. That is also Action 2 News at 4:30. Action 2 News at 5 starts right now.